Yeah, this is this is nice. And this is here. This is, if you take a look, this is actually me for like at least 13 to 14 hours a day. I mean, not necessarily in a similar setup, but just blowing smoke rings and smoking and whatnot. And it was fun while it lasted. I mean, you had endless energy, and so what you did was just hang out with friends and share a laugh, share anecdotes, and talk about life in general. It was fun. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Now that I've quit smoking, the conversations are still good, but all the cool conversations are happening in spots that are, that I don't frequent anymore. Like a while ago, I was hanging out with a whole bunch of people, and so since I had stopped smoking, I just stayed there, and we were a whole bunch of like 10, 12 people, and after we were hanging out at a restaurant, and just once we'd all had our food, and we were waiting for the coffee to be served and all that, and waiting for pretty much the night to end. And I didn't move from my seat. I didn't have to. The smokers had to run outside to smoke to get their fix. And the smoking area, well, over the years, the smoking areas have a lot of restaurants, they no longer have. Well, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but what I'm trying to say is this particular place, the you had to stand outside, and it was sweltering hot outside. The dead of summer, the dead center of the summers, and it was just crazy. Anyway, I didn't feel the urge to go outside and stand with them because I didn't smoke anymore, and I'd rather just sit in an air conditioned room and just relax and enjoy my coke. Anyway, so yeah. But then I realized the conversations among smokers are a whole new level. They're kind of intimate, especially for men. Um, it's it's some sort of a brotherhood when you smoke, because like I still remember, if I wanted to make new friends, even when I was traveling internationally, I just hang out in the smoking areas of the restaurant and pick up a conversation, and it was way more easier than picking up a conversation, let's say, at a bar, because well, alcohol makes you a little woozy. Cigarettes, they give you some energy, they make you smell like hell. Anyway, I think this is good enough. I think I'm gonna try and see if can add a bit of a glow to it. Ooh, I like this. I love playing around with the layers. I think this is good. No. Yeah. Okay. Okay. There's. Anyway. Yeah. I think I'm gonna add a bit more. Anyway, so about smoking, and I never really thought much of it while I was. I mean, sure, I knew it was bad for me, but in contrast, what other things could I do? You know, just to counter the debilitating anxiety, or deal with unpleasant emotions, or just whatever. And that's when I, you know, thought, hey, I look at other people. Some people I knew were like serious alcoholics. Somebody else was, I came across this guy that he got introduced to us because through another friend of ours, and since we were like a group of people that were very non-judgmental, because some of them were addicted to weed. A lot of them had some really crazy history with drugs and all of that. Um, and so this was like a safe space for all the guys to hang out. And so this guy gets introduced. He was a classic, uh, you know, textbook example of an alcoholic, because so he'd come to we'd receive him. He'd come to our hangout, and we'd, let's say we were gonna meet up at a parking lot and go to a restaurant or whatever. And as soon as he'd park the car, his driver would park the car. He'd get out of the passenger seat, and just to give a hug, or whatever, a handshake, and we'd be standing there, hey, hi, welcome and whatnot. Guess what happened? The guy would just fall down as the moment he got out of the car. He was that bad. He'd be drunk like pretty much 24/7. And anyway, so like I said, the alternative means to handle anxiety were way worse, I would say, because yeah, well, alcohol, or even maybe even cocaine. I mean, it's a clean drug, like, no residue, you don't smell, no, a lot of people can hardly tell that you're on coke, and gives you wings. But there's a lot, it just throws you down this crazy rabbit hole. With smoking, it's less demonized by the media. It's way easy on the nerves. Sure, you smell a lot, but it's okay. You're not. What's gonna happen if you OD on cigarettes? You're probably gonna have a headache. You're gonna go to sleep, wake up the next day just fine, or maybe just a bit of a headache that goes on for a couple of days, and that's it. Um. Anyway, so that's how I sort of used to justify cigarettes, and it was always this. Hey, at least I'm not doing hardcore drugs. At least I'm not killing myself so fast. I sure knew I was killing myself, but it was a gradual death. Maybe I'd be old and die a normal death, and not have cancer, and that was the plan. But then over the years, I sort of realized what smoking was doing to me. Um, it was taking away a lot of my social interactions, because the minute I needed to smoke, I had to stand outside and whatnot, um, or skip a conversation. Like this one time, I used to hang out with a lot of people, like traveling internationally, and a lot of these, just pick up a conversation at a restaurant or a cafe or at the beach, and then all of a sudden, hey, I need to smoke. Can we talk in a little bit? I'll be right back, or whatnot. And then you'd be like, why break off a conversation? You know what I mean? Uh, of course, I had to, because I had to go out and smoke. So there were so many interruptions. Then I'd come back smelling. Now that I come to think of it, I used to smell, oh God, so bad. Anyway, and then also, it was for us growing up in the 90s, we were always told that, or we were under the impression that cigarettes actually made you focus better. If you look at some of the like, if you watch the movies from the 70s and the 90s, you'll notice that a lot of people that smoke would smoke when they were deep in thought. So there's always this poetic, romanticism associated with cigarettes that, uh, you know, hey, let's smoke. It'll help us think better. It'll, you know, it'll make you think better. And also, it's just nice and relaxing. Little did it tell you that behind the scenes, when you smoke, it gives you the jitters, you know, because it's not just the nicotine that's getting into your body. There's a whole bunch of other toxins that are messing with your system. And the best cigarettes were right after a meal, the first cigarette of the day. Um, the first cigarette of the day, a cigarette with a cup of coffee or chai. Oh my God, the best feeling ever, because that was an amazing fix. And uh, it also gave you a nice way to converse. Just talk to people after a meal, and hey, let's all sit together and have fun, have a conversation. And anyway, but then eventually the whole thing started to fade. The effects, like when you keep smoking, the first cigarette of the day never doesn't really give you much of a rush. It just becomes a necessity. And then you start to realize how you're actually bound to, um, uh, you know, uh, a cigarette, to the point where you can't do anything about it. You can't just stop smoking. You have to get that first cigarette in the morning. It will not give you the same rush that it used to a few years ago. You've grown so used to it. You can't go to the bathroom unless you've smoked. Um, you can't. You get irritable and all of that bullshit. And it was just I I don't know. It was miserable, and it made you feel like you were chained, like shackled to, uh, you know, this piece of shit. Like you were shackled to cigarettes, and you had to get your fix and whatnot. It was just crazy. And then, yeah, and when you smoke a lot, so you don't realize how it's raising the temperature of your body. It just makes you, hot because you're lighting up a cigarette, you're inhaling the smoke. There's so much heat that goes on in this whole process that you don't realize how how badly it's affecting you. Eventually, when you've smoked too much and you realize that your taste buds have gone raw, they're swollen all the time. You can't just, like, when you're sitting idle, you're maybe just, playing around with your tongue inside your mouth. You roll your tongue inside your mouth around the roof or wherever. You can feel how rough the texture is of your tongue. And it's not supposed to be that way. Your tongue feels sore when you've been smoking so much. It's not just the toxins, but also, um, uh, the heat that's associated with smoking, and it's messing up the pH level on inside in your mouth, and that like triggers a whole chain of other reactions because the healthy bacteria in your mouth, they're getting affected. The tar is lining up against all your teeth, your saliva blending in with your saliva. The carbon monoxide's going down to your lungs. It's screwing with your blood. When you swallow your saliva or you eat your food, the saliva takes away all the toxin and enter your stomach. It's a whole chain of events, and trust me, you don't realize what it's doing to you until it's you know not really until it's too late, but until you start seeing visible effects on your body, like your skin feels terrible, and you won't realize you won't, like, after I quit smoking, about 8 months later, I came out of the shower, dried my hair, and combed it, and I realized a major difference in the way that my hair felt when I ran my fingers through my own hair. And why was that? Because I wasn't smoking. So not only was my blood cleaner and my hair was growing out healthier, but also the fact that I wasn't, layering my hair wasn't exposed to so much smoke on the outside. So the smoke wasn't screwing it up from the outside and the inside, and my hair just felt different. 8 months after I stopped smoking, I remember how it had changed. How I never remembered my lips being a lighter color. Um, Primarily because I was, sucking out all the nutrients. I was depriving all the nutrients to my blood. And it was just sad, in all honesty. It was sad what I was doing to myself. And no, this isn't a bit session or a session of repentance, but I'm just trying to think out loud as to what was going on with my body, what I was doing to my body without even thinking about it. Because I needed something for my anxiety. Smoking was the most convenient and the easiest solution because number one, it's socially acceptable. You can't be found day drinking. All these years of alcohol being branded and marketed, it is still frowned upon if you're inebriated and you go to work. But if you're smoking, it's okay. It's not welcome. I mean, there's a smoking room or a smoking area in most offices, but so which means it's okay to smoke. It's not the best thing you can do to yourself, but it's okay. And since it's okay, it's socially acceptable. It's not half as bad as alcohol or any other thing. You don't have to hide your pack of cigarettes other than from your parents. Anyway, so it's a sad state of affairs, in all honesty. um, I'm looking for something. Anyway, yeah. So it was just sad, and this all of this I was starting to realize after. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. I'm not even sure if anybody's watching, but yeah. Anyway, enough ranting. I think I'm gonna focus on a bit of the art part, and also, no, no, this isn't. Maybe something smoother. Yeah, better. So yeah, I was talking about how I had forgotten what it felt like to be able to taste food and actually enjoy the flavors. Know what I mean? It's it was something that the past 20 years I didn't realize I was missing out on the true flavors of food, which is sad actually. And then also subtle changes in how it was adversely affecting my sleep cycle. Uh, when I first um, started to reduce my consumption of cigarettes, I'm not feeling this one. I would be sleeping for like 16, 17 hours a day. Like it was like, hey, it's time for me to wake up. Okay, it's daytime. I've had my breakfast, and then I'd fall asleep. And this was not when I was totally off of nicotine. I was on vape. I was vaping, and I had just started. So my journey was like, a friend suggested. I said I've been trying to quit smoking, and he suggested that, hey, you need to try out vape. It's a lot easier on your system. And I said, sure, let's try it. I got my first vape, and I started off, and instantly within the first couple of days, I was smoking 3 packs of cigarettes a day. That back then, that's how bad it was. And as soon as I switched to vaping, sure, I had a pack of cigarettes on me, but it had gone down to like 4 or 5 cigarettes instantly. And I was so happy. And within the first few days, I noticed that I was sleeping so much more. And I was starting to feel my taste buds not, being tortured half the time. And also, I knew that I couldn't really quit cold turkey. Like, I needed some cigarettes in my system. It was just something that I knew I had to do. Um, and also because I didn't really feel like quitting cold turkey, because I knew if I quit cold turkey, it would have been bad. I would have relapsed very easily. So, as soon as on the second week mark, that's when I realized I was smoking so less and sleeping so much. I wake up after my third nap for the day, and it was about 10 o'clock at night, and I had shooting pains in my chest, and it was scary. It was super fucking scary. I cannot tell you how scary it was because it almost felt like I was about to die. And it was just, I can't really describe it. Anyway, I ended up going to the ER, and so what I did was, I told the doctor what symptoms I was having, and they said, "Oh, this isn't a job for the ER. You need to go to the chest pain." department. That scared me because I live by myself, and it was scary, especially because this is almost the middle of the night. I'm at the ER, and I don't know what's gonna happen. They tell me to get my ECG done, and that was it. They didn't give me anything. They said, even though I specifically told them I have shooting pains, I just quit smoking. You need to do something. And the doctor says there's nothing wrong. Your ECG is fine. I was very unconvinced. I just didn't know what to do. And then I got back home and I realized the past 2 weeks I've been sleeping so much and I sleep on my left side. So it probably, pinched a nerve or something. Um, that was just something because the doctor said it was normal. I didn't really have much to say. So I was like, okay, I'll probably live through it. And that's what happened. I got home. I was scared shitless. But then after a little while, I got some water in my system and whatnot, and I calmed down, but the pain was still there. But this time I decided if I'm gonna fall asleep, I'm gonna sleep on the other side instead of my left side, and that's so it was fixed by the next day, which was a huge relief. It was you have no idea. I almost thought I always almost thought I was about to die. It was it was very bad, and. Yeah, so that's how I realized what it was doing to me. Because now that it was leaving my system. That's when I started to realize what it uh, felt like. Without what it was doing to my system all along, and I was starting to see the benefits. And that's when so it took me. I was on vape for a year. I relapsed onto smoking a couple of times because I'd had a bad case of the flu and stuff like that. And what vape does is vape is already very moist. So if your nose is blocked or is runny, vaping doesn't help. So I had to go back to smoking because I needed my fix. And so it was just one thing after the other. But eventually I ended up taking a yoga course, which I knew would help with the anxiety and all the triggers, and calm my system down. And that's how I quit vape and, like quit caffeine, nicotine for a whole week. And then I never went back to smoking. I went back to caffeine, my regular coffee and tea and whatnot. But it was never, never to smoke. And God, please, I hope I never go back there again. Anyway, so I've done back to the art. I'm done with the smoke. I think I'm kind of happy as to how this turned out. And I think I can. Uh, so I've highlighted the smoke. I wanted to highlight the parts of, how it negatively affected me, you know. So, yeah. Oh, God. Oh, I still remember how badly it was staining my fingers, especially the forefinger, because this is where, if you can see, uh, you know, the smoke, it was the closest to the cigarette, the flame, the head of it, the bulb, or whatever you may call it, and it was staining my the nail on my forefinger, and I could smell the talk, whatever crap was coming off of uh, the uh, uh, the smoke, and how badly it was. I could smell it at all times. I could smell it on my hands, uh, like 24/7, to the point where, like, when you want to wipe your nose or something and you use your dominant hand. That's where I smoke from. I used to smoke from my left hand. So your instinct tells you you need to sneeze or whatever. You need to wipe your nose. You do it with your dominant hand, and I could smell the crap on my hands, and no matter what I did to wash them, or whatever I washed my hands with, the smell would never go away, because as soon as I had washed my hands, I'd go back to smoking. So yeah, and that's how bad it was. Uh, yeah, and since I was smoking a lot, my breath stank. I'm pretty sure. I mean, I made sure I had breath mints and whatnot, but I'm pretty sure my breath smelled. I'm sorry for all those updated though. Particularly people of, you know, I feel bad now. Um, okay. And then, yeah, so my clothes, yeah. Oh my God. I'm pretty sure a lot of us, hang on, was this a separate layer? Let's just add a bit of bloom to it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you notice, they probably have burn marks on their clothes. Uh, very, no, I think I'm gonna go back. Uh, yeah, you end up like an ash goes here, there, oh, you know, ash or whatever, and you end up burning your clothes, and it's just terrible. So yeah. Hmm. Why didn't I think of that before? Anyway, yeah. So it was always this crazy. Oh, yeah. And then it wasn't just the cigarettes that I had to get rid of. Like eventually I realized that I wasn't really addicted to just the nicotine. It was the whole ritual. It was the whole social, the behaviors all associated with smoking that made it so important. Um, like, what do I do with my hands now that oh yes, a friend of mine used to tell me they read this book a long time ago. The title was, "Now that I've quit smoking, I need to learn what to do with my hands," because you have no idea the whole ritual of carrying, having like a lighter on you at all times, and a pack of cigarettes, and fiddling with a cigarette while you're waiting to go on your cigarette smoking break, and while you're there, you're playing around. When you've taken a puff, in between puffs, you're playing with your cigarette, and you're waving your hands a certain way. It's this whole behavior, and all these these things that you have to get rid of, and not really get rid of, that you're so accustomed to, that your life just feels, just starts to feel pointless. It's crazy. I still remember, uh once the withdrawal effects were gone, and I was starting to become very healthy in my routine. Uh, I was sleeping normally. I could taste food, and everything was so new to me now. And then I had a breakdown. I had a mental breakdown. So the breakdown, and I thought to myself, I've been smoking for more than half my life. My whole life revolved around cigarettes. My social, circle, my behaviors, my routine, everything. And now I have nothing to do. What am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do with myself? And that's when I had to figure out ways to sort of distract myself. I was taking care of most of the oral addiction, all those cues that I just spoke about, by chewing gum. And I still have photos, and I still, to this day, it's been a year and a half almost, since I quit, and I still buy like boxes of sugar-free gum, just because I don't want to feel like ever have the urge that, hey, I need to go back to cigarettes because I don't know what to do with all these unpleasant emotions. So no matter what, I make sure I have a lot of gum, um, because gum, you know, I could keep my mouth busy. And also, if I stuck to food, I would end up killing myself again by food, all that emotional eating. So, yeah, food. So chewing gum sort of helped me counter both. It was like killing two birds with one stone. I hate that saying that, but yeah, two birds with one stone. Keep chewing. And let me give you this. As soon as I stopped smoking, I realized how much money I was spending on food, because I'm sure food is good, but what I mean to say is, when you're smoking, you need to have a constant supply of food just so your head won't hurt. And so it's like another cycle that nobody really talks about, because when you're constantly smoking, you need something to soothe the bad effects of cigarettes. A lot of people, because especially if you see a lot of people who smoke and don't eat a lot, they end up getting super messed up. They have ulcers and whatnot. So just to counter all these effects of cigarettes, my emotional eating sort of helped, because I always had food in my system. It's not a good thing, but at the same time, all those toxins that I was putting in my body, most of them were being, countered by the nutrients in my food. I don't know if that makes sense, or if there's a doctor that ever listens to me ramble on about this would uh, agree, or would probably make fun of me, saying, "Hey, no, man, that's not the way it goes." But whatever. The point being, I was just eating a lot while on cigarettes, um, just because that's what cigarettes make you do. At least that's what they made me do. Anyway, so glamour. Let me see. So coming back to how they glamorize smoking, like I said, smoking for me was less about being cool, like seeming cool, and more about rebellion. Like, hey, I smoke, whatever. Anyway, But also because, like I said, smoking areas or places that have smoking areas are just glamorous. It's they are so nice to be in, be at. And like, take a look at this amazing Chesterfield couch, and it made you feel so re- regal, regal. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, it was just constantly being pampered. Yeah, it gave you that feeling of being, very high class or something. Yeah, I think this is good effect. Anyway, I'm sorry I'm left-handed, and somehow I prefer, writing or making art with a slight by tilting the canvas or whatever medium. So yeah, this is what it's supposed to be, but when I make art, everything goes at a 45-degree angle. Yeah, like this. Anyway, and so I've highlighted the smoke, put in a lot of color, the glamorous couch, um, the bad breath, uh, this, okay, okay, good. Now this is done. I'm gonna talk about, okay. Yeah, another thing. So when I went on to vaping, and I work from home, so every now and then, I'd hang out with friends and come back home. As soon as I quit smoking, like switched to vaping, I would come home and my house just smelled nice. And I'm not even talking because the the smell of the vape is very short lived. You don't smell it for too long. So it wasn't like I was smelling vape or the sweet flavors. I was My house started to smell nice. And when I say nice, it was like normal people live here. It's not somebody that is destroying himself. and my desk would be, the ashtray would not be full of, you know, cigarette butts or ash on the floor or even in the bathroom, because when you smoke, you want to go to the loo and smoke a cigarette there because somehow it makes you feel, it makes you think better. So it smelled nice. So every day, I used to, like, when I switched to vaping and I was fully concentrating on quitting, every day I would wake up and thank myself and be, grateful for how, like, it was like a daily inventory check. Hey, not an inventory check, but like a self examination. Hey, I just woke up. I don't feel moody today. Oh, my taste buds starting to feel better. They're not swollen anymore. Oh, how did I not know the food tastes so nice? This particular flavor of an eggplant. I never even thought, it's the food just starts tasting like 100 times better because you're not torturing your taste buds. So anyhow, um, I think I'm gonna go with orange and sort of. Oh no, I want some blues. Yeah. So everything just started. It was almost like you were starting a new life. Everything was brand new all over again. And it was a constant, like, and I would text my friend as to how I was feeling. It was more like um like I'm the kind of person that if I'm doing something and I find it nice or uh fun, I make sure that my close circle of friends know about it. So it's like, hey, this particular game that I'm playing, or hey, we need to check out this restaurant. I love this new food that I found, or new, joint that I've discovered or whatnot. So a lot of my friends are smokers, and I would constantly text them, dude, you have no idea how good I'm feeling today now that I've quit for so long and I haven't smoked a cigarette for so long. So time, yada yada yada. And it was like not only reinforcing for myself, it was also something that I wanted to, my friends to experience as well. And it was just something that I look back at old texts from a year ago and how excited I used to be, sharing all these updates with my friends. And yeah, so it was such a relief. I was not poisoning myself anymore. I was actually focused on how wonderful life was or experiencing different things. Like I wouldn't cough as much. Like first thing in the morning, I wouldn't like go to the loo, brush my teeth and cough my lungs out. So it was nice. And it was all over, like the impact of the cigarettes. To this day, I cannot put it into words how there were so many ways that it was the cigarettes were affecting me. The toxins. My bloodstream, my hair, my skin, my clothes. Okay. I want to do something subtle for the eyes. Um, don't even get me started on the dark circles under my eyes. I mean, sure, it was bad sleep cycle, the insomnia, the anxiety, but also the fact that the cigarettes weren't really helping. They were adding to the dark circles, the sickening one of those effects on my lifestyle. Sure, I don't sleep much now either. Um, Now that you know, I've sort of settled down into my normal behaviors without the cigarettes. Um, I still don't sleep a lot. I can last, you know, if I go to bed without an alarm set, I can just sleep. I'll be up within 6 hours. Like as soon as it's the 6 hour mark, I just wake up like clockwork. It's just not in me to be sleeping too much. Um, so yeah, but then when I was smoking, I could pretty much, not sleep for days because I was, constantly smoking, putting all those toxins in my system. Anyway, I think I'm uh, happy with how this turned out. I mean, anything else would be overkill. So yeah, I'm gonna end it here, and yeah, I don't know who watches this. I do. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, my I just wanted to highlight that the stains and the weird ass smell on my hands and my fingers and my breath. Okay. Yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna stop now. All right. Toodles. I hope this is more. I really wanted to do this not just as catharsis, but also um, share with somebody who might be struggling with something that with cigarettes. I mean, no, I'm not an inspiration. I'm not saying that, but I'm just trying to put this out there for somebody who wants to quit and doesn't know how. I just, like, 23 years, it's not easy to get rid of it, and I haven't even talked about the experience of the withdrawals. I think I'm going to make a separate art piece about that, the withdrawals. But what I learned through this whole year-long ordeal of quitting, trying to quit, is that you can't just those stories of people that say, you know i I just woke up one day and I thought to myself, I'm gonna quit, and I never touched a cigarette after that. I could never do that because cigarettes were so well in, like, my whole life revolved around cigarettes rather than the other way around. And I couldn't. So I realized that it's not, I couldn't quit cold turkey. I had to figure out something else, and it was always, hey, when we look back as children, we get grounded, we get our phone, the internet taken out, or we're not allowed to go out with friends anymore. What that does as an adult, I come to think of it, every time I was grounded, I figured I need to smoke more, you know, and I need to figure out a clever way to smoke because hey, it's just rebellion. So I really think if you want to quit any habit, the best way to do it is to substitute, because you got to be kind to yourself throughout this process. You can't just be too you can't just be like, hey, I'm gonna quit, I'm gonna make sure I fuck myself in the process. No, you're not gonna torture yourself. You're gonna make sure you're gonna treat yourself with kindness. You're gonna be like, have a little more compassion towards yourself and say, hey, okay, this isn't good for me. I understand that, but I also know there's so many other things that I need to work on, and so many other things are associated with this particular act. And I really think I should replace it. So, like I did in my case, I switched to vape. Not recommended. Vapes are just as unhealthy. It's just that they're too early in their life cycle for, I'm pretty sure millennials, when they grow older, they're going to be like, vape killed me. But the point being, uh, it's just a good way to step down from cigarettes, especially if you've been smoking as long as I had. And just focus on substituting, uh, you know, gradually. And hey, I'm not smoking, I'm vaping. Okay, it's less tar, less heat, and so. And then eventually I'm gonna move on. And always look for substitutes, and don't just quit, because it leaves a major void in your whole routine and it messes with your head. And there are greater chances of you relapsing if you don't figure out a healthy system. Anyway, toodles. I'm gonna sign it off.